Australia begin their celebrations. Champions 2018.
The women's game in Australia has come a long way in 145 years. This is a journey that started out right here in Bendigo, where the first women's game was recorded in the goldfields in 1874.
One of the biggest moments came 3 years after those gold mining maidens. The first officially organised women's match was played at the Association Ground, a little stadium you may now know as the SCG. It was a charity match that saw the Fernleys go head-to-head with the Siroccos. Two teams captained by two sisters. Women's teams formed right across the country. Colony versus colony.
State versus state. And this is the state where the next big leap happened for our game. It was 1934 when the first ever women's test match was played here in Brisbane, Australia versus England. 86 years later, just a short walk away, the Brisbane Heat won their second WBBL title in succession to another sellout crowd.
Far from Brisbane's heaving grounds, a little girl by the name of Faith Coulthart was born right here on South Australian land. After just 3 club games, she was selected to play for her state. Gee, she was good. And before too long, she was selected for Australia, the first Indigenous female to be picked in the national sporting team. She's one of my heroes and still one of the fastest women bowlers ever produced.
The women's game was building in the 70s, but it wasn't easy. Despite this, we were able to send a team to the first ever World Cup in England in 1973. It was the first ever World Cup because the men didn't play theirs till 1975. So this was another first for our game. 4 years later in India, the World Cup was ours. This was the first opportunity for Australia to raise that cup above their head.
But it wasn't the last. There were many talented players emerging. Catherine Fitzpatrick, Karen Rolton and Lisa Kitely, all breaking records, breaking the glass ceiling and inspiring young girls to play this great game. And on that fateful night at the SCG under lights, when I managed to dismiss the great Brian Lara, it shone a bright light on the potential of the women's game.
Oh, and there's a big appeal there, so I think that she's got him. Zoe's got him. Zoe Goss has got Brian Lara.
1997 was a historical year because Belinda Clark became the first ever player, male or female, to hit a double century in a one-day international. And believe me, it was a sensational innings.
And in 2015, the WBBL was born. Professionalism, access and exposure to the game that we'd never seen before. And the last 2 years have seen a sellout final.
And the pay deal. This is a game changer. Cricket, a trailblazer in sports equality.
And who would have thought that playing cricket for Australia and having a career in cricket was more than just a dream?
And now here we stand at the MCG, on the cusp of setting a new record for the most attended women's sporting event in the world.
Jerry might have other ideas. There you go.
Oh, that's beautifully picked up.